You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Prez-Elect Joe Biden continues to fill his cabinet. Yesterday, we talked about him, of course, unveiling his economic team. 2 African Americans on that, Cecilia Rouse, who will lead the White House Council on Economic Advisors, as well as Wadi Adeyemo, who, of course, will be the Deputy Secretary at the Department of Treasury. Now, Neera Tanden, of course, who is South Asian, she is going to be the head of Office of Management and Budget if they are confirmed by the Senate. Now, of course, Wally, he's a man born in Nigeria, and Neera, an Indian American. Okay, of course, Janet Yellen, white woman there as well. But Biden is under lots of pressure from Asian Americans, African Americans, and Latino Democrats to have more diversity. Joining us right now is the Congressman from Kansas City, Emanuel Cleaver. He joins us right now. Emanuel Cleaver, glad to have you here. This is also Alpha Week, so that's why I'm rocking the black and gold kente for my fellow Alpha brother. Glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be with you.
First and foremost,
that black and gold.
Well, we got to represent, and in fact, I'm just going to show you, since you mentioned that, I'm going to show you this here. Let me just stand up. Go ahead, take this shot. Just so I had this actually integrated into the kente right here. Right here.
Oh, man.
So, for everybody at home, if you ain't able, that ain't my problem. So, yes. so this is absolutely the Alpha Kente outfit. So, let's get right to it. You, Congressman Cleaver, and others have made it perfectly clear that y'all want to see more top black appointments from Joe Biden. Black folks were key to this. First of all, let's be clear. Without black people, Joe Biden ain't the nominee. He doesn't win South Carolina. He does not run the table when it comes to Super Tuesday. And so far, he's named an African-American woman, of course, to be the head of the United Nations. Then, of course, you have Cecilia Rouse. But, look, folks want to say, Clyburn and others have been saying they want Congresswoman Marsha Fudge to be Ag Secretary and other positions, and even inside of the White House. I haven't heard an African-American Deputy Chief of Staff. I know Congressman Cedric Richmond is going to be over the Office of Public Engagement. But even when it comes to Political Director, Legislative Affairs, Chief of Staff, Communications Assistant, who's a Deputy Press Secretary, but in the White House, no African Americans running departments.
That's right. We're concerned about that, and we consider ourselves a big tent party, which also means that that President-elect Biden should have, and I think he does, expect the pressure to come, and it would be irresponsible for us, me, Jim Clyburn, and others. I was with Biden, in Iowa in the snow when we were getting crowds of 7 and 8 people back before the virus hit. So I think the vice president is going to do the right thing. I've said that publicly, but I think the Russians have a proverb: trust but verify, and it's given. Usually, people say that's a quote from Ronald Reagan, but actually, it's a Russian proverb, and that Ronald Reagan used. But the point is, yes, we trust President Biden, but we're going to verify, and that we don't think that he is going to make these promises and then back away. But I think we have to as his friends and loyal supporters, go to him and say, it looks like we're not getting the consideration that we'd like to have. So be sure to understand that we're going to continue to watch. Now betrayal, from my perspective, always comes from your enemies. So I don't consider Joe Biden an enemy. Therefore, I don't expect to be betrayed. But there are key positions, as Jim Clyburn said. Mark Mariel and Al Sharpton and a group of us mayors from the 90s, including Andrew Young and Martin Luther King III, who was not a mayor, but who was involved in this. We all don't want a HUD secretary, for example, to need training wheels to go into office, especially now with this crisis with COVID and the economic crisis that was created by COVID. We need somebody who can go in there. We're going to have African Americans losing homes. because some of them haven't paid mortgages in 8, 9 months. We're going to need rental programs to help people who find themselves without a place to live as the virus is gotten under control. So we need somebody in HUD. Alvin Brown, a former mayor, and most of us former mayors, Ed Rendell, we want somebody like Alvin Brown to be in HUD. And it's about time we get some of these appointments as cabinet heads, so that people who are going to play significant roles. I'm not saying that the people there now are not playing significant roles, but we want some people on the cabinet. That means that they meet with the president regularly, and the issues that they bring to the table are in part many of the issues that we are concerned about.
Not only that, the Congressional Black Caucus has the largest caucus among the Democratic caucus in the House. If you're Joe Biden, you're going to need those CBC votes. And look, I get everybody else, but the reality is there are more, in terms of, again, the various groups in the House conference on the Democratic side, CBC is the largest. And and black women voted at a higher rate for Biden than anyone else. Black men were second. So when it came to who supported, I hear all the suburban people and then Asian Americans, Latinos, but sheer numbers, the largest percentage for Joe Biden: black women, black men, everybody else.
That's right. And if Joe Biden has been paying attention to the Congressional Black Caucus, he'll do what we do. Our chair is Karen Bass, and the next chair, in all likelihood, is going to be Joyce Beatty. There are a lot of black men in the CBC, but make no mistake, African American women have saved many of the CBC members, and African American women saved in no small part the presidency of President-elect Biden. Jim Clyburn tells the story about what made him go to Biden, and he said an elderly black woman came over and sat beside him in church, and said to him, look, if you support Joe Biden, we need you to say something publicly. We need you to go out and let everybody know what's going on. And because he had said before that how Clyburn is, he's not going to get involved. He's a member of the Democratic leadership. But he went out and got involved. It was a black woman. And I hope history tells, when they tell the story about how Vice President Biden became President-elect Biden, it was a black woman who played a pivotal role, just like the same thing happened in Montgomery, Alabama with Rosa Parks. So African-American men, we play a significant role, but it has been the women. Let's not pretend that hasn't happened. I grew up in the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and man, the women were the movers and the shakers in SCLC. And for example, there are some people who are known nationally and internationally. They may even have a TV show, but if their wife is a pastor, a powerful pastor who can tell the gospel story, she probably helped make that man. I'm just saying.
Absolutely right. And again, when you start looking at, because the other thing is this here, and let's talk about what happens on the inside. The reality is this here, there are 2 meetings every single day when it comes to the White House. There is the 7 a.m. meeting and there's the 8 a.m. meeting. Yes. The folk who are in the 8 a.m. meeting ain't in the 7 a.m. meeting. And so the concern that many folks have is, who are the black people who are going to be at the table at the 7 a.m. meeting?
We don't have any 7 a.m.s yet.
Right, and that's the whole point. Now, so one of the issues that for me is at that 7 a.m. meeting when it comes to the chief of staff and the top people. Is Cedric Richmond going to be at that meeting? Who else is going to be at that meeting? Will African Americans be sitting at that table? Because a 7 a.m. meeting tell the folks at the 8 a.m. meeting what to do.
That's right. That's absolutely right. That's when the president gets his briefing, and this president can read, of course, and so he will be knowledgeable about what's going on and all the information that he is receiving. The vice president, Kamala Harris, will be in that meeting. But I think you hit just where we are, where Jim Clyburn is, where I am, and others, and it is that we need people sitting around that major table, the major table. It's good. I'm glad to get African Americans in deputy roles. That's good. But we believe that we have capable individuals who are knowledgeable about the government and the particular areas from which they come to the table to be of enormous help to the vice president. Now, I'm not saying he's betrayed us. I want to make myself clear. He's not through. There are, I think, about 16 other major appointments that he has not made yet. And so I think a better time of measurement will be after those next 16 appointments. And that very likely will be those appointments where people like myself and others will be able to say, see, we told you, this is the right guy.
Well, again, I mean, this is, and y'all are raising the alarm now instead of doing it after the fact.
Yes, absolutely. There won't be any point in doing it later. I think the civil rights leaders, Mark Mariel and the head of the NAACP, they've all come out and said they want to have a meeting with the president-elect. And they're not going to go in there and be disrespectful and nasty. I mean, because in that meeting will be two other African Americans. One of them will be Kamala Harris, and then the other would be Cedric Richmond from New Orleans. And so I think that, they are going to also say things to the president-elect that we will never read about or never hear, just because I know the two of them. I work with them in the CBC and feel very comfortable that this is going to take place. But you hit it right on the head. When you said, we don't need an after-the-fact group, who starts talking after all the significant appointments are made. We're doing it right now. Jim Clyburn has been very clear. He wants Marsha Fudge and Ag and somebody like Alvin Brown in HUD, who has the experience working in HUD, and the mayor of the second largest city in Florida. So we're going to continue to push, and we're going to do it respectfully. I think that right now it's time to respect. So we're going to embrace the Russian proverb. We trust the vice president, but we're going to verify.
Absolutely. Congressman Emanuel Cleaver of Kansas City. We surely appreciate it, sir. Thank you so very much.
Good to be with you.
All right. All right, 06. All right, folks, let's go to our panel. We will start with Robert Patillo, Executive Director, Rainbow Push Coalition Peachtree Street Project, Monique Presley, Legal Analyst and Crisis Manager. And, of course, I know it pains him greatly to have to be on the show during Alpha Week. Kappa A. Scott Bolden, former chair of National Bar Association Political Action Committee. Everybody ain't able. Robert, I want to start with you. And it's very simple here. Robert, what you are hearing from the CBC is exactly what they are supposed to be doing, using their leverage to maximize power for black folks.
Well, you're absolutely correct, but I'm trying to figure out why exactly we need to be leveraging. The entire point of us turning out in record numbers was so we wouldn't have to leverage. There's some things that just go unsaid. This should be one of them. And I want people to understand, Donald Trump ain't going nowhere. He's running again in 2024. He's going to launch a media empire. And all those black MAGAs out there, they're not going anywhere either. They're not invited back to the cookout. They got nowhere else to go. So they are going to continue beating this drum for Trump for 4 more years. And if you give them fuel for that fire, if you give them ammunition where they can run back and put their finger in your face and say, look, told you Jim Crow Joe wasn't going to do anything for you, they will ride that into the ground for the next 4 years. They'll make it very difficult in 2022 to retain the House, to increase the margin in the Senate after we win these 2 seats in Georgia on January the 5th. It'll make it very difficult to get a governing majority because you need filibuster-proof majority in the Senate in order to get any big legislation passed. It's going to make it very difficult in 2024 for either Biden or Harris to run for re-election that year. So this is something they have to get right. The community is demanding it. Young people in particular are demanding it. They did not vote for moderation. They did not vote for gradualism. What we saw from the Trump era, from the Trump movement, is that people expect big, bold things right now. And even if you can't get it done, they want to see you go down fighting for it. Trump never got his wall paid for, but he fought for it until the last day. So people are going to be expecting that on things such as police reform, on criminal justice reform, student loan forgiveness. They will have a whole laundry list of issues, and we're going to need representation in the cabinet to be able to do so, because anything less than that will be substandard, and you're going to shoot yourself in the foot the same way that after 2008, many progressives that or after 2008 and 2012, after the Obama glow wore off, many of those progressives did not turn out for Hillary. In 2016, that's where the Bernie movement came from. So we have to play the long game, not simply the checkers game that we're playing currently. And I for one, would like to see Roland Martin and the administration on the communications team.
Ain't gonna happen.
I would like to see. Hey, look, I'm just saying, I'd like to see Monique Presley and Scott Bolden in the AG's department or somewhere in the Office of Legal Counsel. We earned it. We've been up here campaigning and fighting and bleeding for them. So I shouldn't be nowhere having to beg. If I got to beg, then guess what?
No. It's not.
I can be crowd surfing with Vernon Jones at the next MAGA rally. That's what will happen if you do it again.
But the deal here, Monique, I don't see this as a question of begging. First of all, what it is like we just gonna let you know, like what a congressman say, trust and verify. Look, there are a lot of black people who are extremely talented, who have been in politics, who worked on the campaign, who are on the transition team. And people need to understand something, okay? People have approached me to run for office since I was 20 years old. I ain't never ran. That ain't my calling. I've never had a desire to work for a politician because I don't want to have to ask somebody else for permission. So, just real simple. There are a lot of folk who can work in communication. I ain't one of them. So I love these fools out here on social media. You were only sitting here supporting Biden and Harris. You were trying to get a job. I got one right here. Roll good. Monique?
Was that a question?
Yes. That was a clear, undeniable statement. But again, the CBC is doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yes, everybody is in their lane, doing what they're supposed to do in their roles. What I spoke to you about earlier, and I'll say again, without fear, because I got to be bold in 2020, just heading up to 2021. Our people are so conditioned to think that good government check is something to aspire to, that they don't even recognize when there's a significant segment of their population who's already transcended that, who don't need or want to take the pay cut that it would take to go back to where the young folks are waking up at 5 a.m. when it's dark and going to work, and going to sleep at 11 a.m., 12 a.m. when it's still dark. No, that's not our role. And it doesn't mean that we don't have influence. And it doesn't mean that we're not doing something that people should aspire to. It just means, as I said to you earlier today, Roland, Simone is in that role and she should be. Congratulations. Lord knows, I push her, I love her, I've mentored her, I'm excited about it. I don't want to be her. I'm just excited about her doing it. I love what it means to be outside of that bubble and still have influence, as you do in your own lane. And people need to recognize that it takes all of us. It takes all of us doing our parts. And if we are not still at this very late date looking for our gold watch and our parachute and our retirement, then we may actually get to where we have real influence. And we can help our children and our children's children, and it not be about this one position and this one appointment.
Scott, the point that I was making about being in the right meeting, being at the table, because you're there when it comes to when policy is being formulated. And so what the CBC is saying, we want to make sure that black people are vertical and horizontal. We don't just want to see, one or two up here, then one or two here. No, they say we want to see black through and through.
And we deserve it. We've earned it. And we've gotten smarter about this. Trust but verify. Listen, the 7 a.m. meeting is the meeting before the meeting. We call it the meeting before the meeting in corporate America. And it's no different than the White House. That's the first thing. Second of all, we've earned it. I appreciate all people of color. Don't get me wrong. But the biggest chunk of the people of color are black people. And you apply the but-for test. But for black people and the black vote, in particular the black female vote, you would not be president-elect and vice president-elect. End of story, right? That's the end of the debate. Secondly, you know, the same rule applies when FDR told Roy Wilkins in the 30s, I agree with everything you've told me about the American Negro. Now go make me do it. And so now we've got to go make Biden do what we want him to do. That's pure power politics. And so often Black people have waited and assessed and jumped in after the fact to complain. No, we're going to do it right now because this is smart politics. We're going to remind you and we're going to make sure you do the right thing. We're leaving nothing to chance, respectfully. And I think they better get back to those Black leaders, because what I've been reading is that no one's even set up that meeting that the congressman was talking about.
Yeah, but
they're doing it smart and they're doing it the right way.
Well, the reality is that the meetings that you have with various organizational leaders typically does not happen before the inauguration. It typically happens after that. And so, I mean, I fully expected them to do that. But here's also the thing, Robert, that I think is important as well. This is extremely important. I don't want there to be one Black meeting. Let me be real clear, okay? NAACP, Urban League, A. Philip Randolph Institute. I'm trying to name the groups who were on there.
Network.
National Action Network. That's fine. NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. That's civil rights group. You got Black health practitioners. You've got Black education folks. You've got African Americans who are in media. There are multiple groups. So the reality is I want to see multiple gatherings with this administration of African Americans, because expertise comes to the table. And I'll be real clear, and I'm not criticizing Rainbow Push or National Action Network or National Urban League or NAACP. Well, let me be real clear, okay? If I'm having a conversation about Black business, I'm going to have Black business people at the meeting.
Exactly.
I ain't going to have a discussion about... Here's my whole deal. If I'm going to have a discussion about Black business, okay? I'm just having a discussion about Black business. I'm talking to Black business. If I'm going to have a discussion about Black law stuff, I'm going to talk to the National Bar Association. If I want to discuss Black health stuff, I'm going to talk to the National Medical Association. And so that's what I'm going to do. So come to the kid right here. Let me real clear. Black people, Black organizations. I'm talking to y'all directly, okay? Let me be as clear as possible. What this requires proper expertise. Black people, we have graduated from the days of single organizations and single leaders speaking for all. Those days are gone. This is now a question of Black expertise. And so I want to have experts at the table talking about those issues. And so when the conversation is about COVID, when you have this vaccine that comes out, guess what? The federal government is going to be spending a lot of money on advertising, on the vaccine, on reaching out to people. I want to make sure Black media is getting the money. I want to make sure Black ad agencies are getting the money as well. That means having people at the table who know what the hell they're talking about. And again, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. And I think too often we have not had that take place.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. Roland Martin, unfiltered.com.